I'll start by saying our overarching thing for the day, no matter what, is breathing. If you do nothing else, take deep breaths, because if you're not breathing, your dog's not breathing. And we can all certainly use some deep breaths and relaxing. And if you feel like you may not be breathing correctly, just smile, because you can't have a true smile and tension at the same time. It's physiologically impossible. So that's our overarching theme. I'll probably say it dozens of times. You'll get sick of hearing it. I put a sign on every angle that says breathe, because that's really the most important part of the day. So I'm starting on the floor, and people can sit in chairs, go up and down, find what feels good. I think putting the pad down so the dog knows their spot is pretty good, especially if your dog is used to their spot. So you can sit like this, or you can be on a chair with your dog, in your life, or you can, any way. I just do this all day long, so it's just what's comfortable for me. And truth be told, I do yoga at 6:30 in the morning, so it's helpful. I don't start out like this. But this is amazing, and welcome dogs and dog heroes. People didn't think it could be done. And so I thought, well, I'm a glass half empty, half full girl. So cheers for all of you. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Dr. Kristen Finn. Okay, again, celebrating all of you for coming on a Sunday. I think you're all heroes, and thank you. I'm truly grateful that you're giving me the opportunity to share with you today that you guys can be your dog's best therapists. All that's required is that you breathe, and we've been over that a little bit, so I'll keep saying over and over again. Make sure you breathe, let out a nice sigh. If you're not breathing and you're tense, you just build tension in your dogs. And I think that we all know that, but actually, being absolutely vigilant about catching yourself. And the other thing about, if you're having some tension and you smile, you physiologically cannot be tense when you're smiling. They're just incompatible. So when all else fails, just smile. So I started to say I'm Dr. Kristen Finn. For those of you that don't know me, I have an integrative practice in Kingston. I've been a veterinarian for about 28 years. I started with horses, and I still work on some horses. My practice is integrative, so I do Eastern and Western medicine, but an osteopathic, and I'm certified in rehab and acupuncture and chiropractic, but I mostly do osteopathic work, which is kind of there's a continuum of osteopathic work, and it has different definitions depending on where you are. But I'm going to share with you kind of like some of the fundamentals today that everybody can learn to do on their dog. The only requisite is that you're breathing and that your dog's breathing. A fun fact that I like to share is your dog is only 15% skeleton. Everything else is organs, heart, and muscles, ligaments, fascia, and tendons. So, if you do the math on that, you've got like 68% of your dog is soft tissue. That means you can help 68% of your dog. So, I just want to share one more thing at the end. I'll speak to you about, yay, finally someone's brave enough. a sort of something else that I offer in my practice is, I'm keeping the practice small because that's why I can give the time and give the appointments when people need it. But I'm super proud of something that I created as a way of being available to give every dog owner that wants it support. I'm going to share these things with you, and but I want to keep supporting you in moving forward. So we'll talk about that at the end. One of my favorite quotes, which I think is pivotal to today, is that you miss more for not looking than not knowing. That was first said in the 1800s by a medical doctor, meaning you don't have to know the anatomy parts, what they're called. You don't have to know what the normal heart rate should be. You just have to look at your dog and notice, well, they seem like they're breathing hard. They seem like they're panting. They seem like they're moving stiffly. They used to do this and now they don't. You're the boots on the ground. And one of my things that I'm super passionate about is inspiring, empowering, and educating. When you go to the vet, which I'm a vet, so I think they're valuable, but your dog never feels better. There's no therapy done at your vet. No vet can, unless you're integrative and you do the osteopathic stuff that I do, which there's a few that do, you can make a dog feel better. But a shot doesn't make them feel better. A vaccine doesn't make them feel better. X-rays are important in some cases, but they never make them feel better. So you guys have the opportunity to be the ones that are making your dog feel better. Not just because you're seeing them every day, but, and really I want to empower you when, it breaks my heart when someone comes to my office and they're like, well, I just think this, but I'm probably wrong. And, if you have a gut feeling and you really believe, you really think, gosh, my gut says, your gut never lies to you. It's possible that you're like, I don't know what's going on. That might be, you don't know. But if you're like, I really think this, then you are right. So I'll start with a dog, if someone would give me a dog. Macy, I know, so that's kind of cheating, but Fox, come here, Fox. Oh, I think you're wonderful. So I sit on the floor in my office because dogs like it when you're on the floor. And I wear pants under my pants every day, so I have more cushion on my butt. But you can do this on the bed. You could do it on a couch. You can sit in your chair and be, having your dog tucked in with you. Find what feels good, because if you are stressing your body, then you're not going to be able to really blend. Is the one of the phrases that they use in massage therapy. Really connecting and blending. On your seats, there was a nickel. A nickel weighs 5 grams. So when I first did my cranial sacral training 25 years ago, I was a racetrack veterinarian, and they said, well, here, you use the weight of a nickel. And I'm like, as if, like, I'm going to get kicked off a farm, stabbed with pitchforks, like people are going to want to kill me. But in my whole career, no one horse or dog owner ever questioned, like, you did nothing. Mostly they're just like, what are you doing? My dog's totally relaxed. And, as you can see in these 2 pictures, those were patients. And those were just 2 good pictures. We have a million pictures like that. And so, weight of a nickel. I carried around the nickel in my pocket for 6 months. And all day long, I would take it out and be like, oh, can't be serious. But, I just kept at it. And now it is just my way. I was a racetrack veterinarian. I was a young veterinarian. I was going to do it. But now I'm a bit wiser, and dogs are the better for it. And horses, it doesn't matter how big the animal is that I'm working on. Bully breeds, horses, quarter horses, warm bloods. A couple days ago, I worked on a horse that's, 1,600 pounds. And I used the same kind of techniques. So you don't have to trust me. Just keep the nickel in your pocket and just watch your dog. When people say, oh yeah, I really get in there, I'm like, stop, please stop that. Don't really get in there. And then I had one more thing to say about that. Oh, the other lesson or tenet of practice that I was taught in my first training 28 years ago, step away from your left brain. And at that time, I didn't even know what that meant. But what it means is you're analytical, like, am I doing it right? Is it this hard or that hard? How long do I do it? How long should I do on the head? How long should I do on the neck? Just like step away from all of that. My goal is for you guys and every owner to be like, oh, she's an idiot. I'm not even doing anything wrong. Anything. And that's awesome. If you feel like you're not doing anything, but your dog is relaxed, then you're absolutely doing it right. And I have no problem with people saying like, oh, she's a total idiot. So how I start, so I'm gonna work with Fox here, and I like to work with a dog that doesn't know me and is not used to me at all. That's why I didn't choose Maisie, because she already knows the gig. Because to kind of show like this is what it might be like for you guys when you first start changing the relationship with your dog. And I work in a fair number of bite sport shepherds and Malinois, and those relationships with their owners are not touchy-feely relationships. But I have worked on enough for long enough that I can always, they're not like Fox, and I'm not going to pull them in and kind of manhandle them a little bit. I tread lightly and respectfully, but I can always find a spot, just putting my hand on them. Usually they're sitting, and fortunately their handlers are in front, and keeping them focused. And I just kind of find an area where I'm like, oh, I can see there's tension in there. But if you didn't have that ability to see like, oh, there's tension there, just like if it's your dog, you just kind of sit with it and just like rest your hand, not press your hand, and just take a deep breath and then just start letting your hand kind of move a little bit. And then you'll notice like, oh, they're stretching out or they're relaxing. Usually with the shepherds or the Malinois, about like 1.5 to 2 minutes after I felt like, okay, I'm just going to put some contact there, I get this side glance, and I know it. What I hear in my brain is, you're smarter than you looked. And I feel like that is a win because I proved myself worthy. So those are for the dogs that really aren't used to the touchy-feely. They're not a touchy-feely breed. Often the cattle dogs, some of the working Aussies, or the Aussies that are more working line, so to speak, it's tricky for them because that's not the way they typically relate to people. But just start somewhere. And one of my favorite places to start that people really have success, I'm pretty light, 5 grams of pressure. Now I have my arm hooked. That's more than 5 grams of pressure, because otherwise Fox would be running to her mom. And so just giving a brain massage. We all can use a brain massage. I went to the hairdresser the other day and I was like, I just want to get shampooed. It feels really good when the hairdresser is shampooing our hair. And most dogs really enjoy that, and I'm just stroking over her ears and her eyes. Good girl. Mother dogs groom and nuzzle puppies over their face and their eyes and around their ears. And there's actually acupressure points. In my world, I use needles, so acupuncture points that release endorphins, including the point right under here, which when a baby is suckling, that's getting pressed, releasing oxytocin. Those things are hardwired So I have had, been working on a 30-year-old stallion and actually have their lip flipped up, and I'm pressing that with one hand, and they can't I'm not succumbing to my endorphins. That's not possible. So it doesn't matter the age. Those are hardwired, so you can take advantage of them. I never do that in a shepherd or a Malinois. That would just be stupid. And I don't usually work on their heads very much, because they're like, back off. I work mostly on their spines. That's where they need it anyway. And then over the years, as they're used to me, I might work on, the bite sports dogs fling around and get some atlas things going on. But it might be a year before I even touch it. But most dogs, I would say probably every dog here, looks like they'd probably be more amenable to that. Like, so stroking the face of a shepherd, I mean, I don't do that either. But stroking the face of every other dog, if a dog acts like, oh, don't touch my ear, or like some dogs snap, or they have painful from ears from chronic ear infections or an old injury, that doesn't mean, oh, I'm gonna never touch the ears. You just start, if Fox had sensitive ears, which Fox doesn't, I would just start on Fox's shoulders and then work my way up, I'm just moving the skin. That's my only goal. Like when I'm stroking, I'm wanting to get the response where she's pressing into me and relaxing a bit. But if she was sensitive on her ears, I would be massaging around her shoulder blades till I'm like, oh, she's comfortable with that, and massaging around her neck, and just and slower than I'm demonstrating right now, but just sneaking up on it. My husband's a concrete contractor, and so you have no margin of error. The concrete's set up and you've destroyed it. So he uses the expression sneak up on it, kind of work the concrete just a little at a time. And so not like sneak, sneak, boo, but just taking your time. And you can't have an agenda. I can't have an agenda in my office. There's times where certain dogs that have an unfortunate past or trust issues, there's been dogs that the owners explain, and then we speak about it, and I say, well, if you're in the long game, I'm in the long game. And I might not touch your dog today, but we'll come in for like short little 15, 20-minute appointments. And there's a shepherd that had some unfortunate experiences, and that particular shepherd, the first day I didn't touch him, but we just sat there talking. I showed myself as a respectful person and not scary. So you guys live with your dogs, so it would be unlikely that you couldn't touch them. But it's good for you to know, that there's every dog so far in my world, you can form a relationship with, but sometimes that might take, weeks. Now that shepherd, I can touch him anywhere, but the second visit, I touched him a little bit in one area, and I did feel comfortable with him. Like the first day, I didn't touch him, but I allowed him to give me a peck on the forehead, and I'm like, hey, we're good, let's stop. So my real point of this big long story is just to kind of share with you that it's dog time, and it can't be agenda based. It's very important that you not be like, well, I've got 10 things to do and I'm going to quickly massage my dog before I have to get out the door. You're living in your left brain, and it's not possible. It's not fun for anyone. Doing body work or therapy or massage on your dog is just as beneficial to you. And science has actually shown that your heart rate and blood pressure will decrease. But it doesn't decrease if you're like, okay, come on, let's do this. like do it at night after a glass of wine, or I'm not a wine drinker, so just do it when it's like, and you don't have to do it for an hour. Just like take 10 minutes, take a breath, and just like, I have one of my horses that's not alive anymore, but he was my thoroughbred, and I would work, outside on horses like a 10-hour day, and I'd come home and I'd just flip over the feed bucket and climb up on his back and just be like, let the day melt away. You can let the day melt away. Dogs are here for us. That's kind of, we do a lot for them, but however the universe works, they kind of signed up to put up with our idiotness and forgive us, at the end of every day, no matter how bad the day was. So let your dog be your therapy and your inspiration for breathing. So I'm just making circles, and I've got my hands wide like a starfish. On that page, there's pictures of a hand and a starfish. I couldn't find a picture of hands that were like this. So hands wide like a starfish. I have to credit Adrienne Mishler of Yoga with Adrienne, which a lot of people are familiar with. You'll notice I take lots of things from her. Fortunately, she's not made a doggy massage program, so there's still hope for me. But hands wide like a starfish is something I heard her say years ago. And granted, you can see, as I start to work, my hands close down, like on our old friend there. But if you start thinking wide, if you have a little dog, which I don't really see a lot of little dogs, her Fox's face is probably the smallest. Obviously, you're going to make your hands smaller, but just thinking wide hands. So breathing, weight of a nickel, and starfish hands. Those are our tenets today. And then I'm just making big circles when you have your hands wide on any part of the dog's body, you are getting as much surface area as possible. So the flat of your hand, and we drive cars, we have to grip our steering wheel, we grip, we grab. I mean, it's human nature and in our culture. So don't feel bad if you keep catching yourself. Don't feel bad for anything in here today. This is a shame-free zone. And I'm just moving her skin around. When I'm moving the skin, I'm moving the fascia. So you're moving the hair, so I just know the skin is under the hair. You're moving the fascia. And fascia is this magical kingdom of a connective tissue that covers from the front of our brain, over our brain, down through the spine, through every nerve. It covers, it's under the skin, because it covers every muscle, bone, nerve, organ, structure in the body, in our body or their bodies. And it's one piece. It's like you're being made as an embryo, and these are facts, so we know they're true. And there's this one layer that has to get woven in between every part of you and your dog, and it's all one piece. It's connected, and it's not always predictable. Like when you get a scar somewhere, and maybe you've noticed, like you had a scar here, and then when you were a kid and you grew, and now the scar's over here, or you may notice that on your animals. We can't, you just start working. A lot of times when I work on animals, I'm working and then I'm like, oh, wait, here's that scar tissue. I'm going to gently work around this scar tissue, and then all of a sudden there's an impact at another area. And so you don't have to know, again, you just have to look and see what you feel. And is the skin really movable in one area? And then I like, my favorite thing, I wish every dog had a hula hoop. Oh, good. So over the pelvis, you just keep your hand flat over the pelvis, like wide as you can, or as wide as the dog is, and very wax on, wax off. But in the hip area, I love thinking of it as a hula. And And so you're just sort of moving. And if this sweet girl is very young and very, very supple. If we have a bully breed or other breeds that are older, they are not always that supple. And so you'll notice, like, oh, my dog has a lot of mobility in their skin over their neck and shoulders, but then it doesn't move as much as you go down along the back. This little girl, I think she takes her suit off at night. She's so loose. Do you take your jammies off? Oh, good girl. Perfect. But then you just notice, like, wow, this isn't as movable, or, oh, they start to quiver in their skin. It's tighter. That doesn't mean, like, okay, I'm not going to work there. It just means lighten up even more and work. So say your area's here, you work a little bit from here, you work a little bit from there, you kind of, sneak up on it or kind of work all around it, and you'll notice, like, gosh, it's looser. I wonder if I'm breathing. Okay, that's better. And this girl, I really like how wiggly she is, because that kind of shows how much motion you can get in there. Major all day long, every day. I am sharing with people about working on the thoracic inlet. So that is where the neck joins with for us, a collarbone. They don't have a collarbone, but where the neck joins the rib cage and the shoulders, that is a very alarmingly common area for tension and tightness for us, because we're at our computers or we're driving. But for dogs, because not all dogs, not like this little sweet girl, but any dog that has injured their hind leg, which unfortunately in my world is a lot of dogs, or older dogs, or bully breeds, often I'm gonna have to hook you so I don't lose you, plant their front legs and pull themselves up when their hind legs are weak if they're older. Some dogs just do it because it seems like an easy thing to do. Why should you push up with your legs and work hard? There's no evolutionary advantage in working hard. That's just logical. Like, why would you? I'm going to do it the hard way today. No, I'm surviving, and I'm going to do it the easy way. So I don't fault dogs for that. I just work with people on ways they can help their dog, because the muscles that they start here in the back of the head, they go down the neck, and they insert on the shoulder or down here on the neck. So when these get tense, the tension radiates all the way up, and your dog has a headache. And when you're tight here, if your foot hurts, you can kind of ignore it and get on with your day. If your neck and head hurt, you can't get away from it. So that is just a fantastic way for every single owner on the planet to be able to be making their dog more comfortable. And I have a very light touch. I just have enough to move her skin, which is, with her, it's like a gram of pressure. You are perfect and brave. Okay. Oh, you are being amazing. Your mom's right there. You don't know me? Good girl. She's like, oh yeah, but this feels good. And just pay attention to that stuff. I didn't know this would feel good for her. I see, oh, there's a little tension in your back. Did you do something silly? Jump off of something? Get hit by another? Did someone T-bone you? Good girl. So then I discovered this, as much as you would discover anything. I didn't look at her and be like, oh, there's tension in her thoracolumbar spine. I was just, exploring this dog, and then she's like, hey, I think you got something there. And fortunately, she's being a perfect teaching dog. Fox, my goodness. Oh, good girl. And I love how she's stretching out. I'm not asking her to stretch out. And I can feel. There you go. I feel like I Those are just your nipples. I was thinking for a sec that I could feel, is she spayed? Okay. I'm like, I can feel her scar tissue around her spay incision. And so, what was your first name? Brandy. And again, thank you so much for this wonderful fox. So that's something that you can do. So, some dogs get more scar tissue than others around their spay. Was it complicated at all, like her spay? Did she get an infection?
No, it was pretty painful for her, but they said it was fine.
So, well, I don't think it's fine if it's painful. She says, I didn't think that was fine.
Say fine as far as infection. There were
Right.
No complications.
Perfect. So you can do this, Brandy. I have my hands really light, and maybe you already do it. Maybe this is but this isn't a skin issue. It's actually a little bit of scar tissue. So they've proven there's sometimes some examples, some studies I read a long time ago. A C-section scar in a woman can be causing chronic headaches. They realize that backwards, like when the C-section scar tissue gets worked on, the headaches go away. So then the supposition was that the scar tissue on the abdominal area was creating fascial tension. So I love the jacket analogies. Say my jacket was my fascia, and I'm wrinkling it there. There's a reciprocal effect. There's always a reciprocal effect. So, okay, friends. So I will, I'm going to have people working on their dogs, and I'm going to start walking around. Oh, good girl. And I cannot thank you enough. I should have started here. But I had no idea. So I always start at I endeavor to start at the nose and work to the toes, because typically I'm motioning all the joints as part of my veterinary exam. And if we have time, I'll go over some things to do with their limbs. But first I want to stop at each person and see how I can be helpful. And she can have an amazing life and move on. It's not like you ever go to the vet. Like, I think my dog's abdominal fascia is tight and sticky. Like, but she's gonna have even a better life if that's freed up. So that's again why the ball is in your court. You're the boots on the ground to notice these things that, for most of for the part of my career where I wasn't tuned into this, I would be like, I don't know what this owner is saying. And in the horse world, where I spent most of the beginning of my career, they would say like, oh, that dressage queen, and she thinks her horse is, off to the right on a left lead, and veterinarians would like eye roll and scoff at it. And now we're all catching up, or the profession is catching up. Like, owners are not idiots. They are the ones with the animal, and they spend time with them every day. So it does make me so super sad. I have to say mad, but I'm trying to transmute that into sad. And what can I do about it when owners come to me on a daily basis and they have been disempowered, or told that they don't know what they're talking about, or dismissed altogether. As part of what has fueled my mission in this segment of my career.